I definitely value loyalty to oneself or other people or to different objects or things.
A character that I've always admired from all my reading in my life is Ella from Ella Enchanted, which I first read in 3rd grade. Smart, she's stubborn, she's nice, but she's sarcastic, and she is really brave. Like, she ends up sacrificing quite a bit in order to save people, which ultimately saves her from her curse. She's really independent, and one of the best things about her is that she doesn't let other people define her.
Are looking for like a deeper meaning in themselves, maybe trying to find something out about themselves that they didn't know previous.
The Manic Pixie Dream Girl is a character trope in books and movies that has been becoming increasingly popular. The term was coined in 2007 by film critic Nathan Rabin in his review of the movie Elizabethtown. The Manic Pixie Dream Girl is a character simply there for the male lead to learn to live life to the fullest. She is beautiful, smart, quirky, and lives life with no consequences, seizing each moment for her enjoyment. Examples of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl in movies and literature are Leslie Burke in The Bridge to Terabithia, Holly Golightly from Breakfast at Tiffany's,
We could still die just for one day.
Sam from The Perks of Being a Wallflower,
Forever and ever, what you say.
and even Ophelia from Hamlet. While she may actually be crazy and not just eccentric like your average Manic Pixie Dream Girl, Ophelia is only in the story to die, to light a fire under Hamlet. She is a single-faceted character and is simply there to enlarge the conflict and not to overcome her own adversities. In my opinion, there is nothing inherently wrong with any of these characters. More so, I feel bad that they do not experience more character development. These women are all supporting characters in a male character's life, and while their ideals and ideas of living life to the fullest are awesome, they are simply used to teach the man how to live their life. I want more stories with Manic Pixie Dream Girls being the main characters, living their lives the way they want to, and not to help men get to their level. Many have criticized author John Green that his female characters are all Manic Pixie Dream Girls. This is because he writes his female characters that are interesting, quirky, like obscure music, and are followed around by the love-struck male protagonist. However, this is the problem with the Manic Pixie Dream Girl character trope. Nathan Rabin eventually disowned the term because instead of creating awareness of the lack of independent goals in female characters, the concept instead was slapped onto any female character who was fun or quirky, whether the trope actually fit them or not. Margot Roth Spillman, the female protagonist in John Green's Paper Towns, seems at the beginning of the novel to be the epitome of a Manic Pixie Dream Girl. Quentin, the male protagonist and narrator, is obsessed with her. He believes her to be a mystery that he needs to solve, but in the end he learns that she's just a girl. John Green responded to criticism about his characters being Manic Pixie Dream Girls on his Tumblr page, saying, "Paper Towns is devoted in its entirety to destroying the lie of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl. The novel ends with a young woman essentially saying, 'Do you really still live in the fantasy land where boys can save girls by becoming romantically interested in them?' I do not know how I could have been less ambiguous about this without calling the novel the patriarchal lie of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl must be stabbed in the heart and killed."
It's kind of like a symbol of interest and motivates the main character as a male and gives interest and motivates him to venture off to do whatever he's going to do, and that's kind of the main role that they use in the story mostly. And then when that translates to the real world, it depicts women as only being good for that one thing and not really having their own lives and own characteristics. So
The idea of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl in the real world, besides the fact that Manic Pixie Dream Girls really aren't a thing, it's more of a sexist idea that some men hold, that women are supposed to complete them in some way. And it's not even necessarily like, I need to find my other half. It's usually a guy that's, in the films themselves, they're men that are brooding and have some sort of inner problem, and then this quirky, sparkly girl comes in and they see her as the answer to all their problems, and that's just not a thing. And it erases the idea that women have their own motives for things, especially because that's the way they're written. Because as they're written in stories, they are practically without their own autonomy, whereas all humans have their own autonomy. So in real life, it's a concept more rather than being an actual physical thing, and that's problematic because even men or women getting it into their head that another person is somehow going to be the answer to their problems is detrimental to their own personal development as well as their relationships with other people.
Another character I want to talk about is Bella Swan from the Twilight series. Psychologists, to show the abusive nature between Edward and Bella, have done real studies on the material. Does this story teach young girls that if a boy acts like Edward, that it's love? Edward is incredibly possessive, jealous, and controlling. The first warning sign in this relationship is all the self-hate Bella possesses. She calls herself ugly on almost every page of the book, and if she isn't calling herself ugly, she's calling herself clumsy or not worthy of Edward. Young girls see this and idolize her and her low self-esteem. There's this phenomenon in modern culture for girls to romanticize having low self-esteem and needing a boy to come along and tell them they're pretty. This gives that boy a lot of power over that girl.
I think it makes us look at Bella as someone who's weak and possibly even naive, because knowing that it's an abusive relationship, she allows herself to be put in that situation continuously while they're together.
We perceive her as weak and stupid because she took it and she didn't realize it was happening. We look down on her, and in her situation, she just is trying to work out a normal relationship the only way she knows how.
I think when you realize that abuse is going on and you don't see someone doing something about it, it makes you look down on them because they're not doing anything about the situation to better it for them. Well, going back to what I said, it's kind of like they're weak in the situation because they're not like doing anything about it to change it. But I know when you're in that situation, it's something that is not, it's easier said than done. So I'm not looking at it in a novel rather than in real life. I feel like is harder to depict what is actually going on in the situation.
It kind of translates. We see the women, we feel bad for them, and we feel that they should not do it, but in their own situation in themselves, they see it as them just trying to work it out and trying to work past these certain issues in their relationship, but we perceive them as being stupid and weak as well.
But what about strong female characters? I think it's important for a strong female character to have flaws. This makes her a well-rounded character. Many female characters in young adult novels tend to be very flat. The Manic Pixie Dream Girl is a one-dimensional and flat character. She serves the purpose of showing the male lead how to get the most out of life, and that's about it. She may have her flaws, but her character has never developed much past that purpose. In the case of Bella Swan, many consider her character to be weak because of the self-hate she possesses and the fact that she doesn't realize the emotional abuse Edward puts her through. I think this shows how our society views women in these relationships because there's a tendency to blame the victim for not getting out of the situation.
I've read the Sarah Dessen books that she's written, and they all have like a main character of a young teenage girl dealing with relatable topics, and her struggling through these relatable issues. I can relate with them, and like they can apply to my life. And just because it shows me that just because she's struggling through these things, it doesn't make them stupid or easy or something that you should be able to do but can't. You just have to go at them at your own pace and realize that no one should judge you, or you shouldn't judge yourself.
Some of the strong female characters that have really influenced me over my life have been Hermione Granger from Harry Potter, Ella from Ella Enchanted, Katniss Everdeen from the Hunger Games trilogy, Elizabeth Bennet from Pride and Prejudice, and because I'm a comic books historian and she's been around for 74 years, Wonder Woman, because you can't get much stronger than the Amazonian princess.
One of my most favorite characters in literature, female or male, is Hermione Granger from the Harry Potter series. Hermione is typically pigeonholed as being the smart or nerdy girl in Harry's friends group, but she's so much more than that. She is spunky, kind, loyal, and judgmental. She is not a perfect image of a friend, of a woman, or of a person. One of my favorite things about Hermione is that as the series progresses, she develops and changes. In the first couple of books, one could argue that she's a little mean at times because she's pretty arrogant and likes to be rewarded for knowing all the right answers. However, as the story progresses, she begins to realize that she can't have all the answers all the time, and that sometimes it's okay to let someone else shine for once. I think Hermione is an incredibly important character for young girls to read about because she isn't perfect. She isn't written to be pretty, to be sweet, or to be any one thing. She's an interesting character because of that, and I think every young reader can see that. I know I did.